Hello and welcome back to Amplified 2020. It is Endless Day, and I am joined here by Bo. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit, Bo?
Yeah, hi everybody, and happy Endless Day, I guess. My name is Bo. I've been with Amplitude for a couple of years now. I joined the community team just before our lovely pandemic, so it's been quite a ride. But yeah,
Thank you.
there's not much to say really. I'm helping the team in pretty much any way that I can, but I work a lot behind the scenes, which is also why you maybe not seeing me that often on streams.
We should have you more on stream.
I would love to be on stream more often. But whenever you see somebody who creates streams or videos about humankind, often the case is that it's somebody who's been talking to me about that a while in advance before that.
Yeah, you work behind the scenes.
Well, okay, I shouldn't say puppeteer, right? Because it sounds a little bit evil, but
that would imply that they were the puppets.
And not at all. But yeah, I'm blessed working with a lot of really talented and creative people, both inside Amplitude as well as outside Amplitude. So the sweet spot.
Awesome. So, for those of you that are joining us today, if this is your first day of Amplified, or if this is your third day, you've been with us since Wednesday, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. I would just like to start off today by explaining a little bit of what's going to go on and what you can expect. If you haven't seen the schedule, we're going to be starting off the morning with a little bit of a cosplay event. We're going to be talking about some of the cosplays that have happened in the past, and we might even have a special guest come in. And then afterwards, we're going to have an interview with Jeff Spock. That's going to be a little bit here, and then we will be having just a bunch of other things happening today. We're going to be going over some of the Endless mod that's coming for Humankind, which is both Endless and Humankind, so we're doing it today. And then later in the afternoon, we're going to actually have some Dungeon of the Endless multiplayer. That'll be with me and Stephanie, which would be pretty fun. I've never played it multiplayer, so I'm very excited to see how that goes. Two brains are better than one.
You would think so.
Yeah,
I mean, so.
You'd hope.
Yeah. I played it on multiplayer a while ago, also on stream here actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it's very fun, but also it plays very differently from single player.
If anybody's come to the Wednesday streams that I do here at Amplitude, you'll know that I have been playing a lot of Dungeon of the Endless in the single player mode. So I'm very interested to see kind of how that experience will change. But then, then we're going to have in the evening one of the most exciting things that's going to be going on, which is going to be, you've asked for it, the Free Again Laralyn performance that we have that she's prepared. It's going to be a kind of a special performance because it's going to be an acoustic version of the song, and at that point you will be able to access the full song on Games Together. So if you haven't gone to Games Together, definitely go over, make an account, be ready for that. We also have a couple of other cool things that are going to be happening here that you can access on the Games Together website. We're going to be having of course, the Endless mod available. We are going to actually have a new community vote. I know a lot of people have been asking for another community vote on Games Together. We have one, and it is going to be about Endless Dungeon. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming up. And then we have a very special reveal that we're going to be preparing as well for a little bit later today. So stay tuned. If you're here in the morning, if it's late at night and you're in Australia, maybe get some sleep, but we'll be here all the way up until the evening, so hang out and let's get started.
Yeah.
So you have a wealth of experience behind you. I am super new to the game development world. This is my first job at a game development studio. And but you've had a lot more experience. Could you tell us a little bit maybe about your experience, some of your past, and maybe how that applies to the community and kind of how cosplay affects and lives with video games as like cohesive unit.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So I've been around since I guess early 2005 in the games industry. And my very first job at like working with a community was in the mid 2005, and back then there were no such thing as, you know, YouTube and streams. You didn't really have much in regards. I mean, cosplay was a thing, but it wasn't super tied to gaming back then, and social media also wasn't really. I don't know. I can't remember if MySpace was around. You know, remember
I remember MySpace.
But
it was like my older brother that had a MySpace. I was a little too young. My parents were like, "No MySpace
no
for
MySpace." And there in the early days, community was basically you had a website, you had a forum, and then you had like everything outside your own sort of company that was basically Games Press, right?
Right.
And then came, down the years, there came the emergence of social media, but also, especially streams and YouTube. Those things just changed the landscape in gaming. That was a paradigm shift, basically. And not only did you have a ton of people who started just making videos of them playing games, you also actually started to see sort of the first steps of like independent games journalists, and well, it's a word that has a very different meaning today, but influencers. In the beginning, influencers were more people who basically just influence opinion, and who typically encourage people to try something or do something or buy something. Influencers today is much more broad, but with YouTube and streams and also the emergence of social media, you also had an awakening, I would say, of the very creative people who has always been around, people who like to draw, who like to paint, who like to model, people who also make costumes and cosplay. So they started being inspired more and more by movies, by games and whatever, and they could more easily share their stuff. As time grew, as more and more of these communities grew, we see people running, you know, community teams and marketing. A game here, and look at this, there's somebody who made a kick-ass costume. Let's see if we can have them, like next time we go to an event like Gamescom or DreamHack or E3 or whatever. Back then when every company with respect for themselves, they needed a booth that looked great with a lot of, you know, sound and image and noise. There's nothing, rarely things that got more attention than people in phenomenal cosplay walking around. People being able to take photos and selfies and all these things. And typically, especially the most phenomenal cosplay out there, was people came to see that, and then they happened to then come in and see, oh, yeah, okay, what's the game actually about that this cosplay is about? And it became an eye-opener for many studios and game developers, including the company I worked for before. And costume contests became some of the major drawing points at massive events, at Gamescom, at BlizzCon, at conventions like that. Huge costume contest. I think, many other studios have hosted them, and then big prizes are to be won, and that inspires even more people to create more costumes.
Yeah.
And that is true for Amplitude as well. We have seen over the years people make phenomenal cosplay, especially about, in the Endless universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that since it is Endless Day, you know, focusing on that universe that the Endless games are built in, you know, you just have such rich characters and such rich lore that really inspires such creative people to make these beautiful costumes. And you know, I think the beauty of cosplay is that you're creating something that almost shouldn't be able to exist.
Yes.
It's almost larger than life, or it's something that, you know, doesn't exist anymore in this world. You know, maybe it's a costume where it involves some of these more ancient type sorts of fashion, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, well, you can evoke other times with cosplay.
Yeah.
For sure. Or you can, you know.
Or something that doesn't exist in this
Yeah,
world,
doesn't
like
even
an
exist.
alien.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, well, when we are seeing some of the craftsmanship, especially these days, right? I mean, there's the world of difference from cosplay craftsmanship, say 10, 15 years ago versus to people now. The level of craftsmanship is on par, if not in some cases better than what you see of major prop studios developing, you know, costumes and whatnot for movie sets. You have these people who are so into it, who can, for a single costume, they can spend, you know, 200-300 hours, if not longer. They can spend a year just sitting there, intricately do the stitching for a cape or something. It's amazing, and the inventiveness, especially with the invention of LED lights, right? With people who have like mechanical looking cosplays with lights and smoke coming out of them, and it's absolutely well, to quote Keanu Reeves, it's breathtaking.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you see what I did there?
That's a good one. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like an Iron Man like cosplay or something where like the head faceplate can even move. Like it's just mind blowing.
Yeah,
some of the things that people can create. And I think that we have at Amplitude one of the most creative communities that I've seen. Some of the most passionate people that I've seen about our games, about the universe. That obviously, you know, Jeff Spock just walked past the streaming room. But to reference, you know, Jeff, like he's created such a vivid universe for the backdrop for all of this art to be made on, like the canvas, I guess you could say, which is super cool. But yeah, so we wanted to use this time in the morning to feature, as you've probably seen on the screen, some of the creations that have been made for our games, and you know, really kind of honor the hard work and creativity and passion that our community has for our games. And so we'd like to actually show off a little bit of some cosplays and things like that we have actually here in the studio.
Yes.
And so we do have a special guest.
We do.
That we'd like to invite on screen. I'm going to be passing off my mic so that
and I'll move aside to make room.
We can hear them.
Yeah. So forgive everyone if you hear shuffling in the background, because, you know, costumes sometimes make noise when they move.
The guest arrive in a few seconds, like few minutes. Don't worry, it's okay on the endless day. If you have a question, any remark, do it in the chat on Twitch or YouTube. You're welcome. So, who is this guest?
I'm Juliet. I work at Amplitude, and I'm wearing today a Robin Clans cosplay. So I don't know if you can see it well, but I have this little hat that is something that all of Robin Clans people are wearing. I have definitive armor with jewelry and everything. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, it's a little difficult to show everything to you. But I just wanted to show to you all of the attention to details that the cosplayers that did this costume put. Because you can, if you have in mind any Robin Clans image, you can see that it's really close to reality, and Jeff imagined those people And it's pretty comfortable to wear too, so it's really nice to have. So that's it for me. So,
Well, I guess we will.
Thank you, Juliet. We'll come back with Bo and Jordan in few seconds. Yeah, this cosplay, it's pretty amazing. I can show it in few seconds again of this one, like right now. Wonderful cosplay. What do you think about it, the chat? Are you this is amazing? Oh, our guests are right now again. Hup.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. So we just had to shuffle around a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit tight here in the studio, but we're making it work.
They're dangerous cables. But luckily for Juliet, she said that the costume was quite comfortable to wear. That is very fortunate in this case, right? Because, you know, imagine if she was wearing one of those like 2.5, 3 meters tall, massive sort of mech cosplays. Well, we wouldn't be able to fit her in the space.
Yeah, where like
Anyways,
their head is like halfway up the costume and everything else is just floating up there.
Exactly.
I've seen some of those,
Yeah, there's some massive ones out there. But yeah, Juliet, she was able to navigate the cables without falling. So I think that's...
I mean, that's a win. I count that as a
yeah,
win.
I can't. I mean, I almost fell on my way
done,
here
Juliet.
to the couch. So Juliet, you rock, right? Thanks, Juliet.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think we've kind of seen it a little bit on screen already, but there is another cosplay that was actually made for one of the content creators, actually, that has streamed our game, Shojoka.
Shojoka, yes.
So you saw that a little bit. I don't know if we can bring that back up on the screen.
Yeah. Well, that's her avatar.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
So this is actually Shojoka's in-game avatar.
Yeah.
And the in-game avatar's costume that she's wearing here in these pictures actually was made into reality by a very talented, we didn't get these people to do it, but Shojoka did. Very talented cosplay
Semi-cosplay
brand, I guess, called Seme or Seem.
Semi or Seem or Semi.
S-E-M-E.
Yeah, S-E-M-E cosplay.
Cosplay. You can find them on Instagram. I've seen them post these pictures.
Yeah. There's a whole thread if you look for Shojoka's goth cosplay. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I know it's endless days, but just this particular costume is humankind. And Shojoka's cosplay, the one she's wearing, that's the era, the goth of era 2, the second era. Mm-hmm. And Seme did all the stitch work and putting that together. So it's quite something. And we do actually happen to have the costume here in the studio. We haven't actually seen it firsthand yet.
This got shipped to us, so once they finished the cosplay, and I believe Shojoka herself took pictures with it, maybe?
She did. Shojoka also has an Instagram page where she posts the cosplay, and she wears a lot of cosplay, Shojoka, and she's... so she has a cosplayer, and she's also, I think... She knows a lot about makeup as well. I don't know if she is a makeup artist, but she likes to do a lot of, especially the sort of ancient feeling, sort of Northern European style cosplay and makeup. It's really, really cool.
Yeah,
and
I think I've watched a couple of Twitch clips of Shojoka. Actually.
Yeah, she was actually, and so I guess I'll tell the story, right?
Oh, go for it.
So. As people probably know, around August last year, we had a little game launch called Humankind. And for Humankind, obviously, we would like to have as many people as possible checking out the game. And a good way to do that is to, ask people around the world, people who do YouTube videos, people who stream, people who do podcasts, whatever, if they would be interested in, showcasing the game for us. And among the many people we talked to about this, Shojoka was one of them. Shojoka, she besides being a cosplayer, she's also a streamer, and she loves playing strategy games in particular, and she plays a ton of them. So at first we just started having a conversation about getting on board for Humankind, teaching her, or not teaching her, but giving her what she needs in order to create, in order to stream without issues. Mm-hmm. And then it was sort of proposed by her that she could also do a cosplay for us.
Super cool.
And that was sort of not planned for, but sort of the idea came to life that if you can make a cosplay, then maybe the cosplay could be one of the cultures of Humankind. And then we showed her the costumes, the avatars of all the different eras, and she said she really liked the goth one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She would want to do like a goth cosplay. So we sent her a bunch of materials, reference images and such of that particular costume the avatar is wearing. And then later on, it was we sort of got the idea that she could wear that cosplay. You see an image on screen right now of her wearing it, and she was sort of teasing this a little bit in advance. These pictures are some of the creative part of the creation process. Tons of little pieces that are 3D printed and polished and painted.
That's crazy.
But to get back to the story, right? So the idea was that Shojoka would wear her cosplay, so she was teasing it in advance, and then on stream, on the launch of Humankind, she would wear it, and then play Humankind while wearing it, and then play the goth while being a goth. And at the same time, we had created her avatar also, custom just for her. So you probably have noticed in Humankind there are some special avatars out there that some YouTubers and streamers have been made custom just for them, and she's one of them that has one of those. So it was like a little bit of a meta thing, right? She's cosplaying while wearing cosplay, while playing
an avatar that is her.
That avatar that is her, that she's also cosplaying said avatar. So it was really cool. And that came to be, so she was cosplaying that, and then later on she sent the costume to us. And that's really cool. And so on the screen, I don't know how many more pictures we have of the creation process, but Seme Cosplay was sort of behind the scenes for creating this thing.
As you can see, there was like some foam. I think some of the pieces are made from foam, and each individual piece of this had to be hand cut, drawn, and then cut out. And that's just so much effort and so much work.
So much work.
But it looks so good.
Well, it looks beautiful, but it's also because it's made, like they were studying from the reference images we sent over, right? The historians here and the artists here at Amplitude who made the outfits for the avatars to wear in game have been studying, what these outfits were like in history and replicated them for the game. And in turn, that made them easier to replicate again in real life. So this goth cosplay, there's basically something like 6 layers of clothing, and Seme, she stitched these together like legit layer by layer. So the cosplay would be fitted like in the same way that this goth costume would have been fitted in real life.
Heck yeah.
So it's quite something.
So we have the costume here with us today.
We do.
And so we are going to be doing a small unboxing here for you.
Yes. And this is very exciting. We have some
mics.
more cables here. So this is very exciting, right? Because I will say to everyone, none of us have actually seen this in person.
This is the Horatio sealed vault.
This is the Horatio seal. Oh, okay, clearly somebody saw it because they put it in this box, because the box it came in was, standardized.
We didn't see it.
So we didn't see it. And I've been around since the very conception of this cosplay came to be, so for me this is a very exciting moment. So
shall we?
What's in the box? there's cosplay in the box.
Ooh. Oh, there's like letters and stuff.
And there's leather straps, and I don't think we will be able to. And then there's
That's super cool.
So it should be said, Shojoka, she's Austrian, and her content is, she speaks German. She also speaks very nice English, I will say, but on stream she speaks German, and she's been writing these little notes on how to take on.
We were still small when you were showing the
Oh
notes, by the way.
but they're just notes. I mean, I'm not.
Personal notes
Yeah.
can't be seen.
So there's a photo here of the backside of the cosplay in this little candy bag. I think it's a candy bag.
Yeah, it looks like it could have sweets in it.
You have little straps. I don't think we are going to be able to take it on camera, but it's very elaborate, like different pieces of string and strap. There's some buttons in here, but
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, like even just seeing it in person, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Can we maybe... Ooh,
Oh, look at that, Jordan. You take up that piece of jewelry.
All right.
Oh, there were two pieces.
I
Okay.
think it's two pieces of jewelry. I have this beaded necklace type thing. That's super cool.
Yeah.
These little pieces. My mom actually makes jewelry, and this kind of reminds me of some of the pieces that she'd make jewelry out of. It's all very like small pieces that you put together a lot of times,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
And here's looks to be an emblem of sorts.
I like it.
Yeah.
Little buckle.
Yeah, I'll just put it over there.
Little
There's
buckle
more
to show
space.
whose team you're on.
And well, I mean, here are the pants, and I mean, it's hard to show, but the fabric is
It's all
it's
hand-sewed.
hand sewed. It's really
I mean, hand-sewed with a machine.
yeah
I'm
yeah. Well, I
sure.
assume these are machine stitches, but still,
don't think they use needle
it's
and
handmade. That's what means. I mean, it's not made on a factory.
Yeah.
And the quality of this fabric is, I mean, it's really solid. Obviously, the goth weren't wearing zippers, but hey, we can take some creative liberties.
Ancient problems require modern
Yeah,
solutions.
exactly. That should be a meme.
Yeah.
And then we have that's a buckle of sorts.
I think this is the central buckle, actually. I think this is the one
Yeah.
that kind of went on the
And
abdomen, maybe.
the sime. Oh, there's the. Where you can see it, right? Maybe not. Well, it's hard to see.
It's a little bright in here.
Yeah, it's a little bright in it. There's some massive lamps. They're quite warm, actually. But Seme Cosplay's own little
little logo.
logo and website. She stitched
I've
together
heard that
this vest.
sewing your own logo into a piece of clothing is the best part about making a cosplay yourself.
Then we have, this one is a
Looks like-
customized T-shirt. it
Yeah, I
seems.
was like, it looks like they took a T-shirt and
Yeah,
then like
and then
custom made it.
they customized it a bit. So the stitching, they updated it, changed it, but the T-shirt is, Danish.
Yeah.
Danish endurance. Can we see it? Danish endurance.
For those of you that don't know, Bo is from Denmark. So
and I'm definitely durable.
definitely durable, exactly. Yeah, no, it's super cool. I think one of the cool things about cosplay is that you have two sides to the spectrum, right? You have the ultra, spent a year to make it. Every single piece is, thought about, maybe handcrafted. And then you have kind of the low budget side cosplay where you find whatever the heck you have and you make a cosplay about it. You know?
This is not it. I mean, this one has not been taking a year to make, but it's been taken some months.
Lots
right?
of hours, though.
Lots of hours.
I
You
think
have,
I think an important metric is the hours rather than the years. 'Cause
this one has not taken years, but it's definitely taken hours. The craftsmanship, it's very lovely.
Is that like? Oh,
painted
it looks like real leather,
I think-
actually.
Don't know if it's real, but it's definitely
real?
It feels good.
Sorry, that was a little
Yeah,
English pun. My bad.
I get it. I chose not to comment.
I'm sure chat's talking about my dad joke already.
We have
For those of you that often come to our Amplitude streams, there are many a dad joke or pun involved. So
and that's funny, right? Because I'm the dad of our team, right? And
I don't have any kids yet. No, I'm plumb out of kids. Well, I mean, I'm not out of kids. I just don't have any.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one of the top pieces. It's well, it's hard to. It's quite long, right?
The red leather is quite striking. I really, really love the vibe.
Look at the detailing here, right?
Look at that.
It's beautiful.
That's some spicy detailing. I want to see the fur, of course.
This got to be some some belts, some straps.
Things.
We have some buckles here also. But I'm just moving this a little side. We're running out of space on this little table.
Yeah, I got more space over here if you want to put something over here.
Well, we can maybe put the belt over there. The belt and the straps. Yes, here comes the little fur that goes over the shoulders.
A little accent piece.
I think this is fake fur, but still, it feels really lovely. It's like...
I'd wear that as a scarf.
Yeah, that's actually quite nice.
Who knows, if I get cold today, I might just be a little goth.
And then you have these shoes.
Oh, they're like...
These are the foam shoes that we're making.
Customized on top of a shoe.
And then they have put a little, so you don't slide. Right, a little grip underneath.
Right.
Very well made, and then there are the bracers as the final thing.
Super. I think it's a little lower. There you go.
Yeah. I'm not always aware of where the cameras are exact. And I think that's about it.
Cool. I love the little like studs, the attention to detail.
Yeah.
I think the whole ensemble is probably, maybe maybe even cooler than all the individual parts. But I think that when you get to see like up close all of the little individual pieces, is just I think it's awesome.
Amazing. And I think next year then we need to have Juliet come in here and wear this one.
Yeah. Should we get Juliet to wear it next year?
On Humankind Day though.
I'm sure she'd love that.
Let's see if we can get it back in the box.
Yeah, cool. So speaking of cosplay, and as we stash this beauteous cosplay,
we will fold it nicer and put it down.
Yeah, we don't want.
We will do that off camera.
Yeah, we'll do it later.
Just got to get these lovely pieces in. It's very nice. Thank you very much, Semi Cosplay and Shojoka, for making this.
Yeah, huge shout out. As always, we love. I mean, you and I especially. I feel like we love supporting the content creators and influencers. As somebody who, before I got this job, was doing content creation as my job. Having a company that works with you and helps support you is huge. And truly, our content creators and those of you in the community that have the passion for the games, have the creativity to create cosplays, create content, create videos, whatever it may be, art. I mean, for this last several months, we've actually been featuring a lot of community-made art on our Twitter, and we even showcase it on our streams. You're the best part about our community, and I think that anything that we can do to help support them is great. So definitely go check out Seam Cosplay, go check out Shojoka, and any other content creators. I mean, speaking of that, we actually do have a lot of people who are streaming Humankind this week.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll be streaming the DLC, so we had a lot of people last night streaming the DLC. We have people today, and then if you check the schedule, we actually have some content creators who actually speak a lot of different languages.
That's true.
We have a lot of French, German content creators that will be streaming Humankind, and
many other languages too, right?
Yeah.
So if Humankind is what you are into and you would like to watch streams or videos, in the next weeks there will be a lot coming out from people who will be checking out the new DLC and who will be making stuff. Some is sponsored by us, some is not, but either way we will check it all out from our side. And if any of you out there who are making videos or cosplay or whatever, who would like us to notice your stuff if we haven't, tag us, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I frequently, I'm part of the social media team. I frequently retweet people's art, people's cool stuff that they make. And I mean, I think it's a great way to support each other, you know?
Yeah, shoot us a message whenever, right? I mean, we are just people, so we are not some big entity that you can't talk to, right?
We're normal people?
Well, at least some of us are, right?
Yeah, speak for yourself.
I try to.
I'm certified crazy. But anyways, so we're going to be having a special little challenge, I guess, going on here in the next little bit. Speaking of cosplay, we want to offer, since Humankind has just had its new DLC, that we have 10 spicy DLC keys that we would like to give away to you, the community. But there's a condition. We want you to make your best low-cost cosplay of either Endless, I guess we're just doing Endless, right?
Yeah, Endless Universe.
Just Endless
because
Universe.
The characters are easier to. Well, it is Endless Day, so it's also appropriate that it's something endless, right? But
Exactly.
But of all the Endless games, there are so many characters and creatures.
Yeah, I mean, we have this on
Yeah,
screen right now.
this-
Is this
yeah.
you?
This is actually me. This is from last year's Amplified. And it was basically, it was a 5-minute cosplay. It's a black shopping bag, it's a black binder, and a bicycle, reflex.
Oh, that's what the green thing is.
Yeah,
right
so I
there.
was trying to be Upbot there. Unfortunately, we don't have the side-by-side shot with Upbot, but that is Upbot.
You can see Oddbot later today.
Yeah, it's
if
maybe
you play Dungeon of the Endless.
yeah, it's maybe not a great Upbot, but hey, it's an Upbot, and I didn't win a DLC key for it. But,
That's unfortunate, but
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
create your best Endless Universe cosplay that you can and tag us on social media.
Yeah.
We're going to be using the tag #AmplifiedCosplay.
Yes.
So use that hashtag, share your cosplays, get creative, y'all.
Yeah.
We want to see you, put a colander on your head, hold a spatula, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Put underwear on your head backwards, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you can make. You don't have to be. Please don't go out and buy a lot of materials and props for this.
That's not
just
what we
whatever you
want.
have around the house. Take a fun photo of your cosplay. Let us know who you're supposed to cosplay in case it's somewhat hard to identify, and use the Amplified Cosplay tag. I will also say the hashtag Amplified Cosplay. If you go out and check that right now on Twitter in particular, you will see examples of people who did this last year. There's not just me and my Upbot. There are a good number of other people who actually took part in this thing last year at Amplified, and there were some great ones out there of people who did stuff they just found around the house and they nailed it, right?
Yeah,
So-
you don't need to cut out foam and do everything. Although very cool. Oh, there you go. There's a side by side.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That's
well,
pretty good.
Yeah, well, it's easier when you see. Obviously, the Upbot is, he's maybe not. He doesn't have such a portly frame, if that's a polite way to say it.
I don't know. He looks like he's sturdy. He's
Yeah,
a
well, he's
robot.
sturdy. He's a robot, but he's definitely not cone shaped.
Yeah, well, he's just got the the mechanics.
Yeah, but I was mostly just going for the face to make the Upbot face out of those 3 items I had at hand. By the way, when I disassembled that homemade cosplay, I sort of broke my bicycle reflex, and I had to go out and buy another one.
Oh,
so I guess
no.
those are the sacrifices we make. Okay, I was just about to actually call myself a cosplayer. I'm not.
Anybody can be a cosplayer, though.
yeah,
I think is what
yeah.
we're saying.
Like I wish I had the talent to create some of these things. I'm a huge fan of cosplay in general, and in this career I've had so far in this industry, I've seen so much truly awe-inspiring, fantastic cosplay. It's absolutely mind-blowing what people are doing, especially when they start involving electronics and robotics and I saw a Junkrat once who actually had a wheel he could remote control. Right?
Really?
If you know Junkrat from Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
There was a person once who did a life-sized, what was it, Rancor from Star Wars? Like those are of course extreme elaborate builds, right? But I mean, there's so many people who do these awesome things, and that's one of my favorite things about going to gaming conventions like Gamescom, when you have so many people walk around displaying their cosplay.
Yeah, and we actually will be having a TwitchCon. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe we should mention that a little bit.
Well, maybe.
I'm not exactly sure if it's confirmed that it's even happening. I think if you go to the TwitchCon website itself, it says the event is, subject to
I think because
the current Panini situation.
Yeah.
So like if it happens, it happens.
If it happens, then it's not. Then it's just a train ride away from us, pretty much. Right?
Yeah, it's in Amsterdam.
So, exactly.
Very close.
And Amsterdam, Paris, with a TGV train. Ooh, that's about 3 hours. Right?
That's really quick. Yeah, I took the slow one because it was cheaper when I went to the Netherlands. I didn't go all the way to Amsterdam, so I don't think there was a faster one to take. But yeah, no, the trains here in Europe are quite quick.
Well, there are many trains in Europe, but the high-speed rails. There's a very good high-speed rail network in France and also Germany, and it's growing into other countries as well. And
hopefully the U.S. will catch up at some point.
Yeah, well,
America needs some more trains that actually are quick and get you places that you want to go.
If the American people feel up for it, I'm sure they will support it more. But I mean, in Europe, it's always been around. I think Americans they just like cars more.
Yeah, I think
it
almost feels like part of the American dream to own your own car, and I think a lot of people like imagining a life without a car would just be like crazy for them.
Well, yeah, I could imagine. I mean, but also, I mean, the spaces in the US are much bigger and much wider, right?
It's pretty spread out, yeah.
And like, I don't have a car personally because where I live, there's just not space for one, right? But I think space and size of vehicles is also definitely in Europe a limiting factor for many people, right? Because you see the average European car. It's smaller than your average American one. At least,
that's a good point.
So commuting by train is just a thing that's been happening always.
Heck yeah! I mean, chat knows. It takes me an hour and a half to get to work every day. When I come to the studio, it's an hour and a half on the bus and the train. It's an experience. But anyways, like. Twitch, right? TwitchCon.
I guess we derailed the conversation a little bit, but yeah,
derailed it just like a train.
Yeah.
So TwitchCon would be the next opportunity for if anybody's coming to TwitchCon. We will have a booth. I guess that will be part of the Sega booth, if I'm correct here. Don't take my word as law, but I'm pretty sure we'll be there.
It's very tentative still, I would say.
Because obviously if the event doesn't even happen, whatever. But if it does happen, if you're gonna be there, definitely pop in, come and see us. And if you show up in, I don't know, a Vodiani suit, that'd be super cool.
For sure. And we will...
what's your favorite Endless Universe faction / alien species?
Well, I've always been a huge fan of the Volters. And I like the Volters and also their association with Upbot, obviously.
Yeah,
because Upbot is
enough.
one of my favorite. But I think the Volters just have such a cool, like, game-spanning story, right? You get a little bit of their story in all of the Endless games.
Do we have some questions in the chat, Etienne?
Oh.
Yeah, from, what's the name? Tonatsi, could someone remind me of the low-cost cosplay hashtag?
Yes.
Amplified cosplay.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Amplified cosplay. And we have 10 DLC keys up for grabs for the people who want to do that.
Yeah, we'll select 10 of the cosplays and we will get you a DLC key to Humankind.
Yes.
And if you already have bought the DLC, feel free to gift it to one of your friends.
Yeah.
Make their day.
Then you can play together with them, maybe. Even.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions? I know we've been talking a lot about cosplay
And
things
trains.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's true.
Maybe we should have a train stream one day. Maybe
we could just have a whole stream about trains.
Yeah.
Speaking of trains, there's a really spicy Twitch clip out there about some funny trains in humankind. But yeah, maybe we'll show that at some point later. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I think that's about it for us. If there's no other questions, I know that I want to do a cosplay at some point. I have never done a cosplay before, but I think it'd be really cool to actually do an Endless Universe cosplay at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know. How does the chat feel? Do you think we should have like a little bit of a cosplay, a studio cosplay competition?
Maybe we should do our own low-cost cosplay with stuff we find around the studio.
I think if the community is going to do a low-cost cosplay contest, we should have our own sometime soon.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's an idea we have to...
Should we open it up to the whole studio, or?
Yeah, let's build on that idea.
think so, yeah?
I'm pretty sure there are some minds out there among us in the studio who can think up some rules or some concepts.
I could just take down the shower curtain from my bathroom and just wrap it.
Are you allowed to
around me?
bring props from home, or does it need to be studio stuff only?
Oh, I don't have very much stuff in the studio.
Yeah, that's the
though.
thing. Can we raid some of the other offices in this building, or is it only in the, because we might not be popular with the other people in the building?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's got to be a homemade, right?
Yeah. There's
You
something to
can't
think
buy
about.
it. It has to be something that you either find for free
Yeah.
or you bring from home.
Yeah.
I don't know, chat. What do we think? Are we like that idea? I can totally see a whole stream dedicated to like people coming in and then we can get the chat to vote on which cosplay they want to win.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Because it can't be up to us.
No,
you know,
clearly.
we're biased,
yeah,
super
I'm
biased,
super
and maybe
mega
we'll even be
biased,
competing. I don't know. You want to make one? I might want.
Yeah, I mean the warden, right? The warden from Dungeon of the Endless. Yeah, I could be the warden.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't know who I'd be. I feel like I mean, would it be sacrilegious to be Horatio?
Yes.
I'll shave my head.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to shave my head.
It's not long enough.
Yeah, okay, what if I get one of those like prostheses things, like
Yeah,
one of
but
those
then,
like caps
yeah,
that
well, I
like
mean,
extends the shape of your head?
Horatio would never approve, I think. But then again, maybe he would actually. Now I'm overthinking.
Horatio's
it.
not here.
Yeah, maybe I'm
Horatio.
overthinking. Maybe Horatio would feel like they're damn right they should imitate me because I'm perfect.
I mean, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right?
That's what they say. That's what they say.
I've heard that. What's up?
Yeah, we have a first one, and the amplified cosplay is from Tonatsi. You can see this one.
Oh, love it.
It's a Lumeris, right?
I think so.
Or not a Lumeris, excuse me. No, this. No, not Lumeris. I've been thinking about Lumeris because somebody made a joke yesterday in the chat about Soylent Green, Lumeris Green or something. I don't even know.
Right.
No, Vodiani, one of the like luminary Vodiani leaders or something like that. We have a piece of art of a Vodiani who's wearing white armor instead of black armor.
I remember.
And I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous and beautiful, and that deserves.
That is exactly the essence of this little challenge.
Did they
here,
pull
right?
the fan off of the
I think
stick
somebody
or something?
ripped off a fan of the stick, and then they ripped off a curtain.
Yeah.
Or is it just
it's
a
like
bed sheet?
a bed sheet, maybe.
But
And they've tied a bag around their head too.
careful with the bags around your head, though, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like.
I mean, they got the picture to us, so apparently they're still breathing.
Yeah, I hope so. That's good.
Awesome. Well, that is amazing. Thank you all very much for your passion, your love, and
keep posting these, keep making these and posting these, and we will slam out some DLC keys, I guess, later today.
Heck yeah. I'm going to be off of camera for a bit as we have the interview with Jeff and Natasha. I'm not going to be doing the Jeff interview since some of you may know, but yeah, so I'm going to be, we don't want to, yeah. So anyways, Jeff will be with Natasha.
Yeah.
That's all. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so I think we'll just kind of take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the interview with Jeff Spock, our narrative director here at Amplitude Studios. You probably already know who he is.
Yeah, but you can never get enough Jeff.
You can never have enough Jeff, isn't it true? Yeah. No, I love Jeff. But anyways, yeah, we'll just cut for a little bit and come back.
Yeah.
With some more spicy Endless Day
Thanks
fun.
for a lovely morning, everybody, and talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you.
What
That was
that?
weird.
What was
Yeah,
that?
I don't know. What
I
was
actually
that?
haven't seen that before. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea.
Strange. Maybe we'll find a little bit more out about that later.
Could
Perhaps.
be, could be.
All right. So, I guess we'll introduce ourselves. So I'm Natasha. I am the Senior Communication Manager here at Amplitude. I've been here about 4 years. And with me, I have...
Hi, I'm, that was good. Hi, yeah, my name's Jeff Spock. I am the Narrative Director at Amplitude, which means I am responsible for the writing and the content, and in particular the world building for Endless Universe. So if you like it, that's great. And if there's like a grammar or a spelling fault, that's mine. I own that. So yeah, that's kind of my position.
Yeah, great.
So, what's next?
So we have a couple things.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me just say, it's great. It's great that you're here. We love doing this stuff. We love reaching out to the community. It's always fun to come here and have these days where we get to interact with you. So thank you for coming, and I hope you find it worth your time.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a couple topics that we're going to cover in this segment, so over the next hour or two. And one of the first ones that we're going to be talking about is the Endless mod. So some of you may remember, but back before Humankind was actually released, we went and held a series of votes about an official mod that you guys would want to have for release. Well, it came a little bit after release, notably right now.
Well, we were working on it during release, if that counts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so actually what ended up happening is, since the team was working really hard on Humankind, we worked with an external partner, Room 8, on that. And so that was something that we will get into in a little bit. But yeah, so let's recap a little bit the votes that we originally had on the Endless mod. So first of all, we didn't impose the Endless theme. We had a series of votes, and the very first vote we had 3 options, and they were fantasy, sci-fi, and alternate history. So did you have any role in coming up with those categories?
No, I think what happened was we'd had some community feedback about wanting to do something, because a lot of what we do, well, most of what we do other than Humankind is science fiction and fantasy. So we'd had some feedback about what about a fantasy mod or a sci-fi mod. But Humankind for us is a separate IP, a separate concept. We take it very seriously. We take the ideas, the ideas and the themes, the thoughts behind Humankind are important to us as values of the studio. So we didn't want to start throwing Endless Universe stuff in there. So initially, that's not really what we were looking to do.
Okay. So yeah, sci-fi, I believe, won out on that first vote, which is unsurprising given that our community is very active on Games Together and they do love sci-fi. So then on the next vote, we proposed 3 options, which I believe were,
I do not remember.
Yes, far future. So, something like year 3000 type thing. The post-apocalyptic, which actually would have been quite interesting, I think, and maybe perhaps the natural conclusion to Humankind. And then, of course, we popped in the Endless Universe, and somewhat unsurprisingly, the Endless Universe won. At which point, Jeff got to start thinking with the narrative team about how exactly we might want to incorporate Endless into Humankind. And there were 3 options for the Endless presence. So the first one was a simulation, a spaceship crash, and alien discoveries. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what those would entail.
I think, what we had to do was, once we knew the topic was the Endless Universe, obviously there's a lot of discussions with the designers about, how do you do that? I mean, there's a lot of different angles we could approach this from, but the question is what can actually fit into the game with the game designers. As a writer, you can come up with anything you want, so we had a lot of discussions with, and particularly Steve, the other writer at Amplitude, spent a lot of time working with our game devs, particularly the design team, and then also with Room 8, working out exactly how we could manifest the Endless Universe in the game. And these were the ideas they came up with. I think the simulation one is more like, if I recall correctly, Steve, I apologize ahead of time if I get this completely wrong. But I think it was like a Matrix kind of idea, where like, you know, this world you're living in is actually a simulation, and the Endless are behind it all. That. So, you know, we tried to come up with 3 ideas that might be interesting. And that led to the next film.
Right. And I think that in the end it was Alien Discoveries that won out.
Yeah.
So that ended up being the theme for the Endless mod. So basically we took that and we kind of ran with it, and you know, we gave Roommate, who was our partner working on this,
Sorry,
we had,
I keep mispronouncing. It's Room 8, not like roommate. Okay?
Roommates, yes. I gave it to my roommate.
I keep calling it Roommate, yeah, but it's Room 8.
Exactly, yes. So Roommate, so they had 4 people, I think, working full-time on it, and then a team of about 12 that was contributing. And from what I heard about the process, you know, they had a lot of really good design ideas and whatnot, so that was great. I guess, what were some of the challenges of bringing the Endless Universe into humankind?
It was, I mean, there's, I guess the biggest challenge we had, or maybe the most interesting, which is how I remember it best, is, you know, we have the 6 different periods in the game, and the question was, you know, how do you slide a little bit of Endless into each one, with the Alien Discovery kind of idea behind it, and make that, you know, interesting and amusing and to a certain extent credible over the course of the entire game. So Room 8 came up with a bunch of good ideas, and we mixed those in with our ideas. And, you know, where they didn't quite know the lore well enough, Steve was like, whoa, guys, can't do that. It has to be, you know. But it went really well. And so what we ended up coming up with is this sort of, I don't know, might be a really old reference, but the Chariots of the Gods kind of idea. Like, you know, oh, maybe visitors from outer space must have built the pyramids or drawn the Nazca lines in South America and that sort of thing. So we sort of went with this idea that, yes, it was the Endless who was here, and they were here early. And as you go through the ages in the game, you know, these little hints will pop up to indicate that something like that was going on.
Sounds like something that would be on the History Channel in the U.S.
No, that's a cheap shot. Come on.
All right.
No, but you're right. You're
well, they do these aliens. They do.
They
have a show called Ancient Aliens for our European viewers who are watching, and they theorize that, you know, ancient aliens built all the pyramids and whatnot. Right. So, yeah, a small dig at the History Channel, I suppose. So basically, the Endless mod is going to be available starting now. I don't know if they've put it up yet. They're going to be putting it up while we're here streaming. And so that will be available on mod.io. And we actually have prepared a small trailer for the Endless mod, which we will be debuting right now for the first time.
The history of humankind is rich with discoveries, research, and conflict. We know the many different stories that shaped humankind, but what if the course of history had taken a different path? The Neolithic. Once nomadic, tribes are now settled in villages. New tools are invented, new forms and techniques of art appear and inspire. But what are these unusual symbols found painted on the cave walls? The Romans, famous for their conquests, legions, institutions, architectural prowess, and their art. But who could this strange statue be representing? Is this a new god, a king? The Norsemen. Their mastery of seafaring makes the world smaller every day. But still, who are these strange knights they fight, and where could they have come from? The journey of humanity continues, and the search for knowledge seems endless. What, for instance, could these artifacts be? Holy relics of ancient gods? Or components of some unknown mechanism? What secrets might this strange structure hold? And what on earth, or off it, are those lights like a battle in the sky? So many questions about humankind's future remain. Will it be ashes to ashes, or dust to dust?
Okay. I really like that. I think that's very cool.
Very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Makes me kind of wish that the Endless really had, kind of left us some little clues throughout the world.
Well, just watch the History Channel. You never know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's really cool. I think the art, they did a great job with the art, and I hope you enjoyed the tease of our.
Yeah, great. So tell us a little bit more about the content of the mod. So my understanding is that it's mostly narrative?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm looking myself in the camera and I'm like completely invisible, so I'm just going to take the hat off because it's getting warm in here anyway. Yeah, so most of what happens in the mod happens through events. So there's new events occurring, new triggers, new artwork for it, of course, the new text and that sort of thing. And the events will tie together in various ways to lead to a conclusion of that new story arc. And at the end of the story arc, there's actually, you do have some choices about how exactly you want things to go. What your answer to the endless sort of archaeological mysteries on Earth should be. It's I have to confess, I spent time working on it. Again, Steve mostly, but I haven't actually played it yet, so I'm a little embarrassed. But yes, I have to get in there. I have to play it. And one more shout out to roommate who really did a great job, and were reactive and smart and serious, and so the whole process went really well.
Cool. All right, so this next thing I think everyone is going to be very excited about. So as you know, as part of Amplified, we try to come up with fun rewards for everybody and cool stuff that you'll be able to unlock, which by the way, if you haven't yet, visit amplified22.com, and that's amplified22.com, and you will be able to check out a lot of the cool rewards that we have going. And we are about to add one. And what's going to happen is when you play a game of Humankind with the Endless mod activated, and you play all the way through to the end, you will unlock the Horatio avatar for Humankind. This is not a joke. This is real. This is really happening.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, could the Humankind art be any more beautiful? Well, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
There's now Horatio.
Here he is. There he is. He looks amazing. And you will not lose a game when you are playing with the Horatio avatar. That I can guarantee. That's the Horatio guarantee. So anyhow, so if you guys want to have your Horatio avatar in game, you just need to play through a game with the Endless mod activated. So let us know how it goes, and let us know as well once you've got a multiplayer game with 10 people playing as Horatio, because I would love to see that.
I would love to see what happens. All these Horatios
right.
out perfecting each other, which is exactly what they are. So it just
yes.
it makes me this concept makes me so happy.
Yep. But yeah. Anyhow, so he looks great in game, and it should be really exciting to see.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess right now we're going to open it up to a couple of questions from the audience about the Endless mod. So yeah, if you have any questions, ask away.
Yep. Any questions about what we can answer on the content? We don't want to give away any spoilers. Any questions about Horatio, of course, but or I don't know, whatever comes to mind. I do have the, for those of you who know our visual novel that takes place among the Horatio, Love Thyself.
Yeah.
We have a few questions.
I wore a T-shirt for that. Yes, we have
Skeleton King. When will the mod be online? It's now?
Normally it's now. If you don't see it yet, it will be shortly.
Right, so the mod it's definitely today and hopefully now, but
yeah,
very soon in any case. Yeah.
And I don't know if you have the answer from Tonatsi. What is AI trait?
What is the AI trait?
Yeah, like
of Horatio.
Yeah, of Horatio.
Ooh.
Oh, that is such an obvious question and one I did not prepare for.
I don't know.
Okay, we will get that. We will get that as soon as possible. Yeah, somebody is Stephanie around? She would definitely know the answer to that.
Well,
okay.
she's probably watching, so she can pop into the pop into the chat if she has the answer. If not, you'll have to play through the Endless mod and unlock Horatio and then find out. And
Definitely.
question answered.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching the trailer, the endless font is used in the trailer, and we are actually working with an external font developer, font developer to do an official Amplitude version, very nicely aligned and structured and perfected of the endless font. So that's
Cool.
we'll be seeing some
We have
more of
another
that.
question.
We have another question from Salterius. Do the mod even describe canon lore bits to the Endless Universe?
Salterius, the sort of question I expect from you, sir. No, it's not. We're not treating humankind as part of the Endless Universe. So there aren't going to be any particular nothing's going to be dévoilé. Why am I thinking in French? There won't be any discoveries that are part of the canonic Endless Universe lore.
Yeah.
It's more borrowing bits of the lore to make sort of an entertaining, interesting mod in Humankind. The mod in Humankind doesn't impact the universe.
Yeah.
So we're keeping those.
I mean, that's one of the great things about mods is it allows us, and even doing an official mod, it allows us to play with topics that wouldn't necessarily be canon and do things that, we wouldn't have as officially part of the universe. It is an official mod in the sense that we approve of the content, but it's not actually part of the universe. But it is interesting to see all of the other mods that have popped up with all kinds of different stuff for Humankind. We've seen maps from lots of different universes. We've seen like Middle Earth maps. We've seen maps from like Game of Thrones. I mean, it's been really exciting to see all the different ways that people have appropriated Humankind through mods.
There are a lot of awesome ideas in the community and in the mods. That's a big thank you for the people who put in their time to do that, because it's fun to see, it's fun to play. It's very cool.
Yeah, and it helps also. I think it really pushes us to think about different things that we could do with the game, or and that sort of thing. So that is very cool.
Definitely.
Do we have any more questions, or do we want to move on? No. Nope.
One question from Fredlink. Will there ever be endless inspired culture added to Humankind in mods?
I don't see why not. I mean, it's not something we have planned at the moment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not something we're working on, and that's not devs saying hiding something they are actually working on. That's not the case. We're not working on that. It would be possible. It's the kind of thing that community could certainly put in there. I mean, could there be like a Horatio Neolithic culture that sort of reclones itself every? No, forget it. Okay, anyway, I don't know, but no, we're not currently.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't say never, right? I mean, if it's something that's interesting for you guys, maybe we'll have more votes about it, and you can help us pick which factions to mod into the game. But yeah, obviously this is the type of stuff that wouldn't really come as much as a DLC, but more as a mod. So yeah, definitely. Okay. I think we can go ahead and start talking a little bit about Endless Dungeon.
Okay, yeah. And we will get back on that question about the AI trait
for
Horatio.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We're
or
good
what
for
his
that.
AI personality is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So main event, Endless Dungeon.
Endless Dungeon.
I know that it's been a little while since there's been news out there, so we're really happy to be able to use Amplified as an occasion to, start talking about Endless Dungeon again, and I know that many of you are very excited. So just as a little reminder of what Endless Dungeon is, it is a sort of spiritual successor to Dungeon of the Endless, but we really wanted to put it on the same level as Endless Space and Endless Legend. So, hence the name Endless Dungeon, which really shows that we are fleshing it out fully because, Dungeon of the Endless was a great game, but it was sort of like a smaller budget indie style production, and we really wanted to honor that, but also really make a full-fledged event out of Endless Dungeon. So it is a roguelite game. It's a little bit more actiony than Dungeon of the Endless. It's twin stick action. You've obviously noticed that it's 3D,
Yes.
and it looks amazing. Yeah, so it's roguelite, tactical action, and there's still some tower defense elements sprinkled in, definitely. And so just quickly as a recap for those who haven't seen or haven't seen in a while, we're gonna go back and play the reveal trailer. So the first ever trailer that was used to announce Endless Dungeon. Great trailer. Still love it.
I love that. I put her music on loop in the background when I'm working on it. I think it's fantastic. I love the music. I love the whole atmosphere of the thing.
Speaking of which, that song, you guys have been asking for that song for a long time. It's free again. It's a collaboration between Lara Lynn and Arnaud Roy, who does the music on all of our games. And later today, we are going to be releasing the full version of that track. And we will also have a live performance by Lara Lynn, so make sure you tune in. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Paris time, so that I believe is 8 a.m. Pacific.
Right.
Yeah. 8 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Paris time, 4 p.m. if you're in the UK. So yeah, make sure you don't miss that because it's going to be pretty awesome. So we have a performance as well as an interview with Lara Lynn. So just teasing that coming up ahead. Yes. But yeah, back on the subject of Endless Dungeon. So I've paraphrased a bit already, but tell us a little bit more about the relationship between Dungeon of the Endless and Endless Dungeon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what you said is very true. That Dungeon of the Endless, and some of you may have heard this before, but it was actually literally the creation of 3 or 4 devs who were out having beers and started like mixing and mashing ideas for games together, for a game together. too many brand names there. And they just sort of came up with this combination of the dungeon crawler, roguelite, tower defense, squad-based, RPG, et cetera, and pixelated. So when we initially came up with the idea, it was going to be what we call a companion game to Endless Legend. So sort of a little light, simple, maybe even mobile game to sort of link the original Endless Space and Endless Legend together, or Endless Legend and Endless Space 2. It got a little bigger than that. It was never mobile. Well, it's mobile now, actually. It's on Switch.
Yeah, it's on Switch, PlayStation, I think Xbox as well, and on mobile.
Yeah. So anyway, it became a little bigger. I guess there was maybe 6 to 10 people working on it, which is not that big, but for an indie game, it's about right. And anyway, it was fun to play. It was really cool looking. It was, I think the design is brilliant. We're actually nominated for a Vice Award for the game design. Yep, that was the year there were 5 nominees for best game design that year.
Yeah.
Endless Legend, Dungeon of the Endless. 3 others I can't remember, but the one that won was Shadow of Mordor. I was like, oh come on, we had 2 out of 5.
Come on.
Anyway, yeah. So. Yeah. So then what happened was when you know internal, both the community and the dev team side, we all wanted to do a Dungeon of the Endless 2. But the question we had was how? Do we really want to do the same thing, the same pixel art, the exact same style? And after a lot of debate, we decided that we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make it more 3D, more twin stick action. We wanted to keep the tower defense. We wanted to keep the squad-based idea. So it's very true to the spirit of the original game. But you know, we're a bigger studio. We've done more games. We know more about how to do them. Of course, we're always learning. But so we're really looking to make sort of a larger, meatier, more interesting version of Dungeon of the Endless, and that's what Endless Dungeon is.
Yeah.
What's funny is it's almost all the same team. You know, the lead producer worked on Dungeon of the Endless. The lead designer worked on Dungeon of the Endless. The programmer was also on one of the programmers. We have several on Dungeon of the Endless. So the spirit of that original team. Oh, and the writer. I should say. You know, the spirit of that original team is still there. So
yeah.
I guess you can tell from the visuals, from the style. It's got a little bit of that humor. It's a little bit crazy. It's got the sort of like wild monsters and that sort of thing. So we're really thinking it's very true to the original, but it's a different 3D retake. So it's we've been playing it. We've been testing it for months and months, and it's really fun to play.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting a lot more. Just now, we're putting more of the narrative in and more of the character interactions and that kind of thing. And so yeah, it's. Sorry, I could go on for hours. I'm very excited. I think it's
absolutely. Cool. And so, how do you decide kind of which factions from the other games and from the Endless Universe as a whole you kind of want to bring in to Endless Dungeon?
Yeah, this is actually a really complicated question because way back when we started the studio, but no, it's true. When we first started doing the original Endless Space, Roma, the studio director, was very, very clear that he wanted to build a universe and the game together. We didn't want to build the game and then kind of glue a universe on top of it. He wanted the two to be really well integrated. And the same thing for Legend. We wanted, we're working very hard on the cohesion and the logic of the universe. What we never really had was a formal timeline. Because once you have a formal timeline, then you lose all your wiggle room.
Right.
And so it all becomes fixed. The problem is after like 5 games, you have to. Because you just start to lose track of things.
Right, right.
So we've actually created a formal timeline of when the Endless Dungeon happens in the span of the whole Endless Universe. But what that means is once you give it a slot there, somewhere in that timeline, there's factions that don't exist or have already disappeared.
Right.
So the factions that are in the game become dependent on the timeline of the universe, this is the first game this has happened to us in, and I'm a little uncomfortable, but
right.
But but you'll see, as you can see from the images, you see that there's our human faction, the Mazari is in there. The medic who's running around is actually Harasham. Bunker, who's the robot, actually is a robot, so it's not a faction. She has her own backstory. So basically, and once we had the part of the timeline, then we sort of look through all the games we've done and say, okay, what major factions from previous games can be in it? What minor factions from previous games are in it? So like the Harasham medic, that was a minor faction in Endless Space 2, who's now one of the 10 heroes in Dungeon of the Endless. So there's a mix, and there's some new factions.
There's a Cravers in the band, right?
There is a Craver in the band, and I think they saw in. Well, we'll see another reveal trailer. I think.
Does he play 2 guitars because he has 4 arms?
No, he's the drummer.
He's
got arms like all over the place. Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense. Yeah, the drummers are always a little bit cravery anyway in the band, so a little bit wild.
Goes with the lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So we're working on the backstories and how all the different characters and NPCs that are in the station tie together, and that's all tied to the part of the timeline and what's going on with the other factions and that sort of thing. So.
Cool.
It becomes an interesting exercise.
Yeah, definitely. And so how is it like writing a different style of narration for a game like, because I mean, honestly, Endless Space and Endless Dungeon, they do have some pretty funny parts to them, but there's a lot less humor overall, So is it fun for you to be able to write like a more humorous,
Yeah. I think my natural style is not terribly serious. So I grew up reading a lot of the really classic science fiction and fantasy stuff, which is why I ended up writing it. But things like Lord of the Rings, the Foundation, Dune, all these, the Chronicles of Amber. There's a lot. There's a lot of references, and in any of these, there's moments of humor.
Right.
There's moments where they're lighthearted, but they're essentially serious and dramatic arcs. And so that's very much what Endless Space and Endless Legend are. But when we did the first Dungeon of the Endless, Romain said, Jeff, we know you like to make jokes. We're not going to judge your sense of humor. We know you like to have a more lighthearted style. He said, in Dungeon of the Endless, just go crazy.
Yeah.
Just have all the fun you want, make crazy characters with strange situations, anything like that. So Endless Dungeon, again, is going to have much more of that style.
Right.
So, so they're kind of letting me loose to enjoy myself, to hopefully make it a lot more fun for the players. Because at the end of the day, roguelites are games where you keep dying over and over.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of levity, in the basic game concept. But we've taken that and turned it on its head a bit. And so we're having a lot of fun with. There's definitely some heavy tragedy in the backstory and in a few of the characters' stories. But overall, it's much more of a lighthearted, humorous kind of style, comedic style.
Yeah, nice. Great. So. Speaking actually of the roguelite aspects and of the die and retry, I believe we have another short teaser that we can show at the moment. Cool. Real quick.
Do I know this?
All right, so you may have seen that go by on social media at some point yesterday. Okay. So that right there is an image of what is the reloader. So essentially, you have kind of a central saloon in the game where all the players are, and whenever you die, because let's face it, you're going to die.
That's what the game's about.
You're going to die. You will end up reloading in the lovely saloon. So. That's kind of what we're seeing here in the image. We can also see a little bit of the 2D art style that's going to be popping up in the game, which has sort of kind of a comic book feel to it. So how is it, how do you narrate something where the characters keep dying? Yeah.
Actually, we should use it as a tagline. You're going to die.
Yes.
That's me. Endless Dungeon. You're going to die. I think a lot roguelikes and roguelites are more and more getting into this idea where the die and retry actually is part of a meta narrative, and so you keep dying and you keep coming back. Like if you look at a game like Hades.
Mm-hmm. Hades.
Yeah. Okay. Where the whole fact that you're dying and retrying is part of the meta story and the reason you're doing it. You keep going through. So we're very much taking that sort of tact, and so the core of that idea is the reloader.
Right.
So the idea is that you're running around, you're trying to get deeper into the station to get to to find a way out of it, and you die. But what happens is you get reloaded by the station. So you can go and do that again and again and again. And so that's worked into sort of the whole meta story and the meta plot of the game itself. But it's, the idea that at one point when the Endless were at the height of their powers, the Concretes had amazing ability to build sort of physical, biological life. And the Virtuals had this amazing capacity to store and copy the human consciousness. So they did as well. At one point, they got together,
right,
and they created this reloader technology. And so the whole trailer, the first trailer we saw there, was the story, sort of the backstory of the saloon where these three heroes go and they manage to actually get the reloader working again. And so that's why it's such a surprise at the end of the trailer. The three heroes who die get reloaded back in the saloon. So if you look at the trailer again with that in mind, you might pick up a few little hints that the artist put in there.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, so we decided that we would make that part of the story and part of the meta story. So it's baked into the whole, a lot of the narrative elements in the game.
Right. And so I know that you yourself, speaking of the saloon, are quite the cocktail aficionado, if I'm not mistaken. So will there be beverages available in the saloon?
Yes, okay. No. The thing is, you get in a lot of age rating questions here. So yes, we refer to them as cocktails.
Yeah.
Let's just call them performance-enhancing beverages that are available. Like in many roguelike games, you know, part of the meta story is the original rogue, if you died, that's it. You just had to learn and try again. Now, generally, what you do is you get upgrades. You can upgrade your armor, upgrade your weapons, that sort of thing. So the idea is as you go through Endless Dungeon, you'll get the same sort of improvements. So that bit by bit, you know, it's a little bit easier, maybe, after a few runs to get a little further and a little further. Yeah. And part of that is the performance-enhancing beverages I mentioned previously. You will also discover them bit by bit as you go through the station. And it being a saloon, naturally, there's a place you can go to have those recipes turned into actual
things. Looks like we have a question.
Yeah, we have a question from Fredlink. In Endless Dungeon, will there be a kind of Bermuda Triangle situation that may explain the appearance of some characters regardless of the timeline?
We're not okay. So the question is, you know, in Endless Dungeon, is like a Bermuda Triangle effect where almost anybody from anywhere in the timeline could show up, which is sort of like what was the when Blizzard did that? There's sort of like battle royale game like 5 years ago where characters from all their games could get together and fight each other and that sort of thing. We're not currently planning that. Currently what we have is you know, the 10 heroes and the NPCs who are all sort of anchored in that part of the timeline. And you know, they're all there for a reason. And the station had its origins, and that's for a reason, and that sort of thing. So currently, no, we're not doing this sort of time traveling thing. That part of it, as like one of the people responsible for the universe, the problem with time travel is it's a huge can of worms. You know, because as soon as you open that up, it's like anybody can show up anywhere to do anything. And then you get stuck in like these like indie sci-fi movies trying to explain how it works. You know, it's just So the idea of time travel is just I just try to keep that out of our games. Who knows? It could end up in a DLC, in a mod, or something like that, and that's cool. But for the moment, no, we're not planning that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so I mean, you know, for example, so today we're actually going to be talking about one of the characters, one of the heroes, whose name is Zed, which is a name that was voted on from the audience, actually. And so Zed is shipwrecked. So basically, she has landed on the space station, and actually, I think that this could be a good moment to maybe do our world premiere. So we are going to have a wonderful world premiere today about one of our heroes. So this is our first hero reveal video. That's going to be a series of videos that we're going to do to introduce all of the different heroes that will be in at the launch of the game. So this is the very first one, and it's Zed. So we'll show the trailer, and then we will talk a little bit about her afterwards. So world premiere in 3, 2, 1.
This here tale begins with Zed and her squad on leave at the Sunkiller Festival. A place where Zed, as much headbanger as heavy infantry, was nigh into heaven. Zed'll tell you that concert was worth the price of going stone deaf. Why, the crowd and the bands barely slept, or even sat down. But after 5 days of kicking up your heels, trying to pilot a ship's like trying to put socks on a rooster. And once this derelict old station got a hold of them, well, they never had a chance. Zed's a sole survivor with one purpose: get out and get home. If anything tries to stop her, it's gonna end up eating pain with a big spoon. The angrier Zed gets, the more damage she does. Boom. That's the calm before. And here's the storm.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that.
That was fun. That was fun to work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that we, in the big 4X games we do, which is, you know, what the studio is most famous for. And it's actually one of the problems we've had with the universe is that they're very much culture oriented, right? A faction. You know, the United Empire, the Cravers, the Sophons, Horatio, the Cultists. And we don't really get very strong characters because the character is really the player playing the emperor, going through, conquering the world or conquering the, you know, the galaxy.
Yeah.
So what's really fun is in the dungeon games, you're actually focusing on character by character, personality by personality. And it's a lot of fun to come up with the backstories for them and the way they interact with the other characters. And then to actually, at this stage in our life, actually have the budget to show it, which we did not used to.
Right.
It's just really fun to be able to be there and, you know, work with the design and the other writers and well, whoever has good ideas, the programmers, the producers, everybody, come up with ideas for the character and then put the scene together and that sort of thing. That's really fun to see. It's really fun to do. So there you go. That's Zed.
So let's talk a little bit about Zed's backstory. How does Zed end up on the station?
Okay, so the backstory of Zed is that she's basically part of a, but they were off sort of, you know, taking some leave at a heavy metal concert.
Naturally.
As one does.
As one does.
Apparently, yes. And that's very much part of her character. I mean, so anyway, so what happens is, you know, they're out, they're partying for like a week, and they all get back on the ship, and they're not in very good shape, and the ship kind of takes off the wrong way, and they wake up too close to the station pulls them in. There's a long explanation about why that happens that I won't get into, but it's part of the meta story. And so she ends up as the only survivor stuck on the station. So the problem is you have this gigantic, unbelievably immense station in the middle of nowhere, far from planets, far from suns, that is around, well, there's a very strong gravitational pull associated with the station. So things that are going by that are out of control or off the path get pulled into it. And so Zed gets pulled into it. And there'll be other heroes that ended up there for that reason. There'll be some heroes who've been there always. There'll be heroes who went there on purpose. So there's, you know, lots of different backstories. But for Zed, she's just like a heavy metal headbanger who got a little carried away during the concert, and everyone kind of just crashed out, and that's where she ended up.
Yikes. So I did notice, and so basically the character page for Zed is going to be going up on the Endless Dungeon website right about now. I did notice that she has some likes and dislikes on that page. So obviously she likes heavy metal.
Yes.
Says she dislikes smooth jazz and herbal tea. So.
Well, you know, she's not the hipster type, Zed, basically. You know, she's full on aggressive headbanger. She just has a lot of attitude and a lot of energy, and she just plunges through life that way.
Right.
There's heroes in the game that are very different from that. You know, they all sort of have their own texture, their own style as personalities and that sort of thing.
Right. And so which hero that's already revealed would you say is more of the herbal tea drinker?
Oh, that's definitely the medic. The medic is very shy, very introverted. For various reasons, has sort of lost a lot of stature among the group of survivors in the saloon recently. Very, very introverted. And very into what she can do with her amazing plants and mushrooms and that sort of thing that she harvests during the runs into the station. So yeah, there are much less in-your-face characters than Zed. And I guess, oh yeah, so Zed, the origin of the character was, it's one of these cases where sometimes the writers come up with it, sometimes the designers come up with it. In this case, Zed was concept art.
Right.
And Jimmy, one of our artists, came up with this, this like woman in like mercenary stuff with these two big things on her shoulders. And we're all sitting around, we're actually saying, what are they?
Yeah, what is
And Jimmy's like, I don't know, they look cool. And I mean, yeah, they look cool, but what are they? So we're sitting around talking about this, and we came up with the idea of they're speakers, right? Because she's like into really loud music. So she just goes through life with these two enormous blasting speakers on her shoulders.
Sounds like she'd be fun to have in the open office.
So yeah, no, she's not one for subtlety. And so that's that's how that whole thing started. That's what those are. And then that ties into the gameplay skills. So to end into her animations in the game and that sort of thing, she does some air guitar, and then one of her skills is actually to like sort of blast like this sonic wave at the monsters that are coming.
Right.
So it's that's like a typical way that we end up coming up with one of our heroes for Ted.
Yeah, and so if you want to have a little bit more detail actually about those skills, you can check them out on the website, which I will remind you is endlessdungeon.game, endlessdungeon all one word .game. So you can see a lot of her skills are kind of in line with her personality, such as Sonic Boom, for example.
Death Mosh, anyway.
Right, so that's all very fun.
The sound and visual effects guys had a lot of fun coming up with the effects for that stuff. So.
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
And so one of the things that we're also doing as a part of Amplified is we are launching a new vote that is going to be up on Games Together. It may be up already. I think it's going up around noon. And we are going to ask the community to vote on a skin for Zed. So this will be an alternate skin that will be available, and we do have a couple of options. So you can pick your favorite, and maybe you want to tell us a little bit about how you came up with the different names for the options?
Not dead. Yeah, well, the part of the design, the original design intention, and we never know exactly what's going to finally be in the game or not, is the idea that each hero kind of has their own personal quest, and or their personal mission that they're sort of on. Either why they came to the station or the fact that they want to get off of the station. Right. And so, at some point you would unlock, as you play the character, you unlock a second skin. So of course the art department, these guys are amazing. They went off and they came up with these different ideas for the skins for Zed. So then the question was, well, what do we call it?
Right.
And basically we sort of thought of like 3 general categories, okay? Because she's a mercenary, it could be like a military name. Yeah. That's what we ended up using, right? So the artist came up with this like Scottish plaid look for her, and I was okay, that's the Highland Corps, obviously. And then there's the Starry Sky one, and so we came up with names for each of them. So military was the one we decided to use. We were also thinking, well, it could be like metal names, right? Mm-hmm. And so like the plaids, what made us think of like the flannel shirts that the grunge rockers wore. So that's like grunge metal,
right? And
this is like power metal, the blue and the the sort of these wild colors. And so we came up with a lot of different sort of themes to name the skins. But at the end of the day, the one we thought we liked the most and made the most sense was basing it on like some kind of corps. Each one has sort of a military nickname for the skin. So.
Makes sense. Yeah. No, those are all really cool. I think that I don't even know which one I would vote for myself. I like the idea of the cosmic one of having her walking around blasting disco music, even though I know it's not totally
That's true.
I
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, bang out some cool, either that or like those metal like power ballads.
Exactly.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, that would have been the power metal.
Yeah.
Suit,
yeah, totally.
Definitely.
Awesome. And so does that mean that Arnaud is going to get to do like some metal music for her?
oh, I hope so. Oh, wow. That'd be, I have no idea. That would be cool. Arnaud, if you're watching, please.
Yeah.
We would love to hear your version of
Right.
power
I mean,
metal.
he's got a great range. I'm sure he could do it. He does all kinds of different music. Anything we ask him. So.
Seeing what he did between Humankind, Endless Legend, Endless Space, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool because I mean, in the original Dungeon of the Endless, the music kind of has this inspiration of like '90s retro video games, you know. And so I think that there's some elements of that have been kept in the music that I've heard so far, anyhow, that are definitely very cool.
Actually, the other I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this or not, but I know that, at least I'm hoping that we'll get some more music from Lara Lynn. I don't know if there's what has or hasn't been agreed to or signed, but there's already a mix of the title track she did. Well, not the title track,
the Free Again.
The Free Again.
Yeah.
And so between that and Art Nouveau style and now metal, I'm just hoping that we can get a lot more kind of inspirations and strangeness in there.
Yeah.
Though this is the only hero that has a really strong affinity with music, so.
Yeah, that is cool.
Well,
we do have that minor faction in the ES2, the Harmonic Symphony? The
Umbral Choir.
No, not the Umbral Choir. The oh man, anyhow, in the.
What do they look like?
They're like the kind of yellow, like lightning bolt looking things.
Oh, the Pulsos or the. Oh.
I'm sure someone in the chat knows. I've stumped Jeff. I have stumped Jeff.
This is terrible. This is terrible. I haven't had enough coffee. That's my excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, the music has always been a big part of the games.
Yeah.
Of course. And I remember when, even for the first one, Endless Space 10 years ago when we first started working with it, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Just so cool.
Definitely. Okay, cool. So I guess we will maybe get into a little bit of Q&A from the audience about anything really. Any topics you want to discuss within Endless.
There was I'm trying to remember. There was something here that made me think of something that I thought might be interesting. Of course, I could be wrong.
Looks like we have a question.
Just not yet a question, but I have the AI trait for Oasho on Humankind Endless mode, if you want.
Yes. So we have the AI trait for Horatio. All right.
There we go. Okay, very nice. So this is to respond to the question we had in the previous part.
A colonialist, really? No.
What a
Prideful. No way.
Automatically ridicule every demand.
That's great. Well, there you go.
Aesthete, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. Money's minus 25% camp creation cost. Good.
Oh, no.
Okay. No, that's great. Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That is very cool.
So there you go. That's
Yeah, if you're just joining us, if you play a full game of Humankind with the Endless mod activated, you will be able to unlock the Horatio avatar in-game and play as Horatio, which is a wonderful privilege that we've decided to bestow for this wonderful Amplified 2022.
Yes, a truly beautiful, beautiful privilege.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks, Reddy-chan.
Okay. So I guess we'll leave a couple minutes for any more questions to roll in. In the meantime, I will remind you that Endless Dungeon is coming to consoles and to PC. And you can wishlist it now on Steam. You can also, once again, sign up to our mailing list at endlessdungeon.game. And when you do that, you will actually get an exclusive skin that is going to be available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. And you can also vote on which Zed skin we should have. So for that, you just need to head over to Games Together, and you can vote on the lovely alternate skin for Zed. All right.
So we're part of the whole universe that we're developing, or the sub-universe for Endless Dungeon. I keep calling it TED, I'm sorry. That's the internal development name for the game was The Endless Dungeon, so we just call it TED.
Yeah.
So I sometimes do that. When we were coming up with the basic idea, we for every hero, we want to have a good backstory and want to have a cool reveal for it. So we're spending time now with the designers, the artists, marketing, of course, people, trying to come up with fun backstories. But it's all tied into the overall atmosphere, which is this idea that it's kind of a galactic Western. which influences to a certain extent the style, the interactions, the archetypes and stereotypes that we're going to have in the game. Because the galactic Western, the sci-fi Western, is such, I mean, it's like such an obvious, these like two genres of popular culture that just go so well together. The ideas of isolation, you're being off on your own, a bunch of misfits from all sorts of different cultures coming together and being forced to survive together. So there's a lot of nods and winks to the whole Western genre in the game, and in the creation of the characters, in the creation of the different districts that the player will be playing through and that sort of thing. Just the fact that the central hub where everything happens before you go off on your runs is the saloon, right? So that's, it starts with that. And there's a number of other sort of like winks and nods to that kind of thing.
Totally. That reminds me, speaking of the saloon, if you go to Games Together as well, we do have the Endless Cocktail book that is from Endless Summer a couple years back. We also have an Endless Mocktail book for those of you that don't partake. So if you guys want to go check those out, they're in the rewards section, and we do have different cocktails inspired by different factions from the game. So it's an oldie but a goodie, definitely worth it. And they've all been hand tested by Mr. Spock, so.
Not just Mr. Spock.
Not just Mr. Spock.
There was a number of volunteers that were involved
there were a
in
number of volunteers,
the
totally.
creation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. What we actually did for the cocktails was we took sort of 8 relatively classic cocktails that we knew people would enjoy, and sort of did a twist on them. As far as, there's this SF version of the list of ingredients is pure universe stuff, but then you can also do a list of ingredients from Earth. So you can actually make them at home. Mocktail or cocktail, as you wish.
Exactly. Yeah, and then for those of you who maybe missed out on seeing the hero reveal, it will be up on YouTube at 4 p.m. Paris time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific. I have got a clock in my head. So be sure and check that out. Unless there's, there's a question. Yep.
Yeah, just my microphone. So yes, we'll question another from Fred Link. Does creating characters for Dungeon of the Endless or Endless Dungeon sometimes inspire the creation of race in the other Endless games?
Yep. Yeah, the whole thing about factions and races in the universe is, we are very flexible. Part of the idea of having this, of not wanting to set limits on the galaxy, like not wanting to have a timeline, and not wanting to have a shape. Is it a spiral galaxy? Is it a twin elliptical? Is it? We don't really want to say exactly in black and white what the shape and the size and the structure and the content of the galaxy is, because we want that to be flexible for our games, but also for your imaginations. And so part of that is just because we've played Endless Space 2 and that happens at a certain time, and here's all the major factions. That doesn't mean those were the only factions and the only species and peoples that existed at that time. All right, because the galaxy could be bigger, could extend in a direction you didn't explore, that sort of thing. So, and so what that means is, the games kind of cross-pollinate each other. So in, I can't give, so there's an example is the medic in Endless Dungeon is the Harasham from Endless Space 2. And that just happened, naturally because we were looking at the different factions that would be possible, and one of the artists said, hey, let's do something with these little guys. What also happens, of course, is the artists start getting great ideas, and they go off and they create something, and it gets approved, and they say, hey, Jeff, here's this here, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a new faction, isn't it? So then we create a new faction around the hero and the idea that the artist had. And that's, so the games sort of cross-populate, cross-pollinate each other. There is a new faction that's been created that was actually created on the station, and there's going to be a hero from that faction, and that's one of the more tragic backstories in Endless Dungeon. But yeah, it's sort of a constant bubbling cauldron of ideas and between the different departments in Amplitude and different projects. So it's.
Actually, I would recommend, I keep plugging all the free stuff we have on Games Together, but we do have the Endless Space 2 art book, which is up there for free.
That's free?
Yeah, it's free. Well, as a PDF, it's free.
Well, okay.
The printed version doesn't exist
Doesn't
yet.
exist.
But so if you check out that free PDF of the Endless Space 2 art book, there's actually a ton of background on how the artists came up with the different factions, like what the inspirations were, what the inspiration for the Cravers were, the Sophons, you know, even down to like the architects and the artists, because a lot of these things are inspired by the works of, you know, real world artists and architects and stuff. Right. And Corinne, who is our art director, is an amazing job at like pulling from all these different references and creating these really cool factions. Yes. So, you know, if you're interested kind of in the backstory of how we come up with the different factions and how we come up with their visual design, I would definitely recommend that you check out the Endless Space 2 art book. Yep.
Yeah, and even if you just are looking for awesome screenshots of gorgeous images, you should check out the Endless 2 art book. Yeah. It's that's the art books. There's one for, well, we made them for Legend, for Dungeon, and for Endless Space 2. Did we do it for Endless Space 1? I don't remember.
I don't recall.
Yeah, we did actually, and I think we even made a physical copy back then. But I think they're all really, really, I mean, obviously I think they're really interesting, but no, the artists do a great job with them, and you know, we put some of the lore in there, and then like Natasha was saying, some of how the development happens and that kind of thing. So if you're curious about our universe or great art or game development, you know, that might be interesting. But yeah, I find them stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Got a question?
Yeah, we have a question from Ningobal. Has working on Endless Dungeon made you want to work on Endless 3? You don't have the emoticon, but it's a wink from WandaVision.
Well, on Endless Space 3?
Admit your work on the...
has working on Endless Dungeon made you want to work on ES3?
Well, okay. This is Natasha would have a different answer from me. As a writer and kind of like a person who was fortunate enough to spend their professional career building worlds, science fiction is more sort of my comfort zone than fantasy. Not to say I dislike fantasy, it's just science fiction I prefer a bit. So working on Endless Dungeon, it gives us, once, because we had to solidify the timeline of the universe for Endless Dungeon. So then you start looking at things and, the tens of thousands of years of history that we're plotting out and all that sort of thing. And then you start thinking.
Right.
You say, oh, look, these guys, they were there, they were around at the same time, but they haven't met in a game yet. These ideas start cross-pollinating like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe too soon to do another Endless Space. And I'm getting my SF fix with Endless Dungeon, so that's fine. But yeah, it generates ideas.
Yeah, and I work on all of our different projects, so I'm like completely cross-project. So it's always, working on Humankind has been a really interesting departure from working on Endless stuff, but it is nice to get back to Endless stuff, And I think that, when you're working with history, you want to be extra careful and extra respectful and make sure that, you're not misrepresenting anything or, inserting your own biases too much into what you're communicating. Obviously, it's impossible to not do that at all. But I think what's nice when we get back to working with Endless stuff is that we are the authority on Endless. So, in terms of communication, if there's a question, it's like it's kind of almost up to us to decide,
That's true. There's a lot more freedom of maneuver there.
Right. Yeah. So I guess, from a communication perspective, that's one of the reasons I really do enjoy working on Endless. Not that I don't enjoy Humankind, I do, and I've learned a lot working on Humankind.
Yes.
So, absolutely.
Humankind has been an incredible project to learn. There's so much stuff. So much stuff you learn about the history of the world from working on a game like that. It's been fantastic working with Benoit and Etienne, the historians who are at Amplitude now, and they'd send stuff over about something I thought you knew, like the Umayyad Caliphate that ruled the Iberian Peninsula, and you're like, I know about those. And you read what they wrote, and like, whoa, I know nothing about them. And so, that's been fascinating. And that's really fun and that's really interesting. And then the flip side of that is, you come up with a new faction, then we get to do that and say,
Right.
you know, this is what we think it should be. And that's also fun and interesting.
Right.
So, yeah,
it's always fun to see also kind of the spin-offs of, you know, what people create using our universe, you know, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or RPGs or like fan community art, you know, it's really cool to see that people kind of latch onto the universe and really enjoy it. So.
Yeah. We have a community member, a VIP, who was working on a mod with the Mavros as a major faction. For those of you who know ES2, it's a pretty funny idea. So we exchanged some thoughts on that. So yeah, that's very cool. Always seeing what the community comes up with.
Nice. Yes.
We have an important question for you, Jeff. What's your favorite endless cocktail from Nefarious Bread?
Wait, what was my favorite, or was it which one is my favorite? Or
Which one is your favorite?
Yeah. That's a really...
Has to be the Horatio, right, with the champagne.
I know. That's
it's different every time.
That's the French person's answer. Okay. You know, I really like the Hisho one, because it's based on a martini made with sake, gin, and a liqueur, maraschino liqueur, and it's which I just find delicious and amazing. I mean, they're all really good. They're all really good, and I have to say the Horatio one's pretty good too. Yeah, that's based on, I think, an airmail, I think, or an old Cuban. I can't remember. That's a funny question. Yeah. I'll go with the Hisho cocktail, I think.
I like the fact that the Cravers one, when the Cravers drink it, they smash and eat the glass afterwards. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, you know, kids, don't try this at home, sort of thing on that. But that's only in fictional universes do you do that.
All right. Cool.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah. So unless we have any more questions, I think we can maybe wrap up. Yeah. Last chance.
We're good.
No more questions?
Okay.
All right. So, thank you for tuning in, and we hope this was an informative session about the Endless Dungeon stuff that is to come. Again, if you guys didn't get the chance to catch the hero reveal, maybe we can play it one more time before going to lunch as we leave, and it will also be up on YouTube again at 4 p.m. So don't forget to visit amplified22.com and wishlist Endless Dungeon on Steam.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming out and watching. If you have questions or questions come to mind later, of course, just let us know via Games Together.
Yep.
And we'll certainly get back to you. It's been fun. Thank you, Natasha, for a lot of intelligent questions that allowed me to sort of go crazy.
Thank you, Jeff, for your time. I know you're quite a busy person. So.
No, it's good.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do this. So.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Here's the hero reveal one more time.
This here tale begins with Zed and her squad on leave at the Sunkiller Festival. A place where Zed, as much headbanger as heavy infantry, was nigh into heaven. Zed'll tell you that concert was worth the price of going stone deaf. Why, the crowd and the bands barely slept, or even sat down. But after 5 days of kicking up your heels, trying to pilot a ship's like trying to put socks on a rooster. And once this derelict old station got a hold of them, well, they never had a chance. Zed's a sole survivor with one purpose: get out and get home. If anything tries to stop her, it's gonna end up eating pain with a big spoon. The angrier Zed gets, the more damage she does. Boom. That's the calm before. And here's the storm.
Hi everyone, it's Etienne. It's a lunch break. We come back. We come back. Excuse me, I'm French from Amplitude. So we come back at 2 for the Dotty multiplayer, and after the interview of Freelin and Free Again live performance. So have a good time. It's the endless day, and it's amplified 2022.